Welcome again to Dubsta. I'm here with Chandran, our resident expert.
Allegedly.
And tester of hot sauce.
That's for sure.
What we wanted to bring you today was some industry news. Now, we were lucky enough this week to attend the internal product launch of the new iteration of Volkswagen Golf to celebrate 50 years of Golf, where...
8.5?
Sorry. Tech expert.
Sorry.
So Chandran was guest speaking at that internal event because his knowledge and passion for the GTI is ridiculous.
Obsessive. That's an obsession, I think, according to my wife. But anyway.
I think she said the same thing to me when I bumped into her shopping the other day, actually.
Oh, at Lidl.
Yeah. I think her words were, "It seems like he loves cars more than he loves his family."
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, so there we were at Volkswagen Group and we got to see the new iteration of the Golf, which has a lot more tech on board.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be consistent through any vehicles that we see roll out, certainly over the next 3 to 5 years, is the technology movements are going to be incredible. Now, who would have thought, when did AI drop? What was it, 23?
2022, isn't it? We went mad.
Have we had that long with it already?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'll call it anyway. So
ChatGPT on board in a vehicle.
In a Golf.
That's nuts. The screen in there is bigger than an iPad Pro.
Yes. The key thing that he wanted to convey in that internal product launch is they've listened to the criticisms from the Golf 8, addressed them and said, look, here you are. We listened to your concerns and hope you like the fixes that we've done. But yeah, it was a good day, wasn't it? We all enjoyed ourselves.
Absolutely, and really nice to meet some of the people there and, find that common ground between obviously our side, which is extremely passionate about all Volkswagen vehicles, and their side, which is very much about what they're bringing new to the table, as well as understanding a bit more about the heritage. It seems like Volkswagen have really started to embrace how important the heritage is.
The brand is, yeah. So I think a lot of it has kicked off really since Dieselgate. And
what was that?
Certain things that they didn't do in the software strategy, which they should have done. But as a consequence of that, they've now become a bit more customer centric, and this Golf 50 years thing is, bringing in people's experiences and memories and what they cherish about Volkswagen. And
that's very much apparent in their advertising and social media strategy, I've noticed of late, where, here's John, he loves Volkswagen because he can get to the beach with his 2 dogs. And here's Mary, and she can pick up her children and her shopping at the same time. Yeah. So it's quite interesting how they're now engaging much more with the actual customer rather than the features and benefits of the vehicle. Now, we've also got some more industry news as well. So the ID Buzz has obviously been around a little while now, and there is a hotter version. Yes, the GTX is not just on the ID Buzz. It seems that that's going across all
across
ID.
The board. Yeah, ID3 GTX, ID4 GTX, ID5 GTX.
Our resident geek, why X rather than I?
Exactly. So X is the electrical equivalent, I suppose, of the I, which, if GTI was Gran Turismo Injezione, taking it from the Italian flex, because all the Volkswagens are called Italian names for wins, like Passat, Tradewind, Golf, Golfstrom, etc. So,
they also, most switchgear in Volkswagens is made in Italy as well.
That's right, yes.
And it seems to be the most common fault. Coming back to the GTX.
Yes, so higher output, bigger capacity battery in order to cater for that higher output, and
painted red. Yes. More often than not, it seems, for their press vehicles.
Oh, the launch vehicles are.
Yeah, quite exciting though. I'd definitely like to have a go in a ID Buzz GTX. I think that'd be quite interesting. Now, there's also some other things going on. So the California.
Yes,
has also been released on the multivan platform.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there's going to be several iterations.
Which is a T7-ish. They called it a T7, but it doesn't sit in the Transporter family.
I think Volkswagen are up to something. So, as you know,
that's unusual.
The T7 Transporter, shall we call it?
Yeah, I think that's probably a...
So the next gen, or the current gen now, Transporter and Caddy are basically Fords rebadged as Volkswagens. In my opinion, that's sacrilege. But then this is Volkswagen. They've obviously have a strategy up their sleeves, and we'll be experiencing it at some point. So the multivan is now the carrier of the California moniker.
For those who don't know, the California is their camper, so you would expect to see a pop top and bed and cabinets in that vehicle. Not the prettiest of vehicles.
No, it's not the prettiest, but I think what Volkswagen are hoping is the versatility of its functionality and practicality are going to win over the hearts of prospective owners.
And the reality, having had a look in the back of that ID Buzz in the group headquarters there the other day, it seems a little small for getting a bed and any kind of cabinets in there.
So the California won't be in the ID Buzz, but it will be in the multivan. And the multivan is taller and slightly longer, and they have, I think,
and slightly uglier.
Well, yeah, and they have I think a diesel 4Motion hybrid power plant, and then 2 petrol derivatives as well. So that's what they're launching with.
And then the Transporter.
And then the Transporter,
which may ruin everything that has been built around the Transporter scene over the past few years.
Absolutely.
Now, I see this as a stepping stone. The fact that you've got 2 normally competing brands in the commercial market, you know, there's no secret that
collaborating
and now collaborating. Well, they say that if you want to win at the top, they collaborate. However, you're still talking about Ford and Volkswagen. It doesn't really quite sound right, but...
Well, they have done it before with the Charan and the Galaxy.
And look how that went.
Yeah. And they immediately diverged, didn't they?
You would have thought they might have learned. However, I think for me, why I see that as a stepping stone is there seems to be so much speculation around where fuel's going at the moment. You know, we've got EV, but there's an awful lot of speculation that EV is not the long-term solution, because when you look at that in terms of its sustainability, the cost to get it to market and everything else, it seems to be more of a keep the people happy stunt rather than an actual long-term solution to fueling.
Yeah.
Now, we've also got Porsche working, or correct me on this.
Yeah, so Porsche have got a facility in Chile where they're using a wind farm to offset or make carbon neutral the output of making synthetic fuels. They've set up a wind farm, so they've invested millions of euros to do this. So you have the wind farm which powers the factory which produces synthetic fuel, and therefore that the basis they're pushing that synthetic fuel is it's carbon neutral because it's been all generated and manufactured using wind.
So one would imagine that they haven't quite reached ROI on that as yet.
That fuel is being used in various Porsche motorsport projects. So you got Volkswagen Group with all its brands. You got Porsche pushing the synthetic fuel. So Porsche basically saying, we still believe in the internal combustion engine. And then you got Audi hedging its bets on EV. So Audi's pushing out everything now. It's all going to be EV. The next RS6 is going to be an EV and so on.
Okay.
Whereas Volkswagen at the moment has pushed its ID series of vehicles and noticed there's been a plateau in sales, and people have, for whatever reason, are still now coming or migrating back to internal combustion engines.
So some might say they're playing the long game.
Yeah, so they've got each of their brands up to, different, like, we're going with this option, Porsche's doing this option, Audi's doing this option.
So, yeah, hedging their bets.
Hedging their bets, indeed.
And I think, for me, that's why I see the Transporter as a stepping stone, is because the existing Transporter was launched in 2004?
2003.
So 2003 through to 2024, that gives it a 21-year lifespan. Now that's quite impressive, and when you look back at the Volkswagen vehicles, a lot of them have quite impressive lifespans from initial launch.
Longevity.
Absolutely. Now, if a vehicle isn't going to survive for 20 odd years, the R&D is not going to pay back on that vehicle.
Correct, which is probably explaining why they're collaborating with Ford for this iteration of Caddy and Transporter.
It buys them some time.
Yeah, they're basically, let's see what happens. And they'll have certain indicators that will trigger or flag as time progresses. And
meanwhile, some people are working on hydrogen, I'm sure.
There's hydrogen, there's obviously still EV being, the technology for EV and battery cells being evolved. And, whether you like it or not, even combustion engine technology still hasn't peaked in my opinion, but they'll still be working in that in the background. Why would a car company like Volkswagen Group, who had such a diverse array of engines, both petrol and diesel, they had like 3 cylinders up to 16 cylinders if you count like Bugatti and its engine series. So they're not going to throw that away overnight, all that technology and what they've learned over the decades. So.
And even less throw away the development of a completely new commercial vehicle, or 2 commercial vehicles in terms of the Caddy and the Transporter. So yeah, we see that as a bit of a stepping stone. Obviously, it's going to change the
landscape.
The landscape, particularly for the aftermarket development, because you've got to remember, so that there's some other things around the Transporter that you may or may not know. So the T5, T6 platform didn't actually hit North America. As a result, all of the modified Transporters that you see in the UK are working off of a UK and European catalogue.
Correct.
Now, when you look at the ID Buzz is going to the States. I would imagine the Transporter is probably going to land in the States as well. So the catalogue of aftermarket...
Yeah. The Transporter will be a transit in the States. I think the agreement Ford and Volkswagen AG have is that the Transporter will be a Ford in North America, which is its traditional homeland, Ford in North America, and then rest of the world is fair game.
Okay, that would make sense. So it will be interesting to see how that develops. I can't wait to start seeing some of these customized. I'm not sure how well it's going to look, because certainly the more recent iterations of the Ford Transit have had these big bulbous arches, and they just don't quite work with the big wheel slam kind of look that has worked so well for Volkswagen for so long. But we can only wait and see what that will end up like. Is there anything else in upcoming models that we should be watching out for in the forthcoming months, do you think?
There's going to be, I think, some iterations or high performance iterations of the Passat. They've launched the current Passat. Skoda will be launching its equivalent, which is the Superb, and then they'll share the high performance powertrains for that. So Passat has had a massive long following, particularly since the 3B platform, and it's people who wanted something bigger than a Golf estate have migrated into Passat. So it'll be interesting to see how that will be perceived in the market.
Nice one. Right, so anything else we'll hear about, we will come back to you with more news soon, but that's quite a roundup for what's going on right now, as far as we know, within Volkswagen and the Volkswagen Group. So I think that probably rounds it up for now.
Yep.
Thank you very much once again, and we shall see you again soon.
Bye-bye.